Hello everyone, welcome to Flower Academy, and today we'll cover two things. The first one is to create a variable. The second one is to know about primitive data types. So just as what I've mentioned in the last video, in order to create a big program, the very basic thing is creating variables. So today we'll be learning how to create a variable in Java. Conventionally, there are two processes. The first one is declaration. You are declaring the creation of a variable. So normally, this will be in the form of the type of the variable plus the name of the variable. What you are really doing is to create a box that has a space according to different type, and it should have a name. Actually, it also has an address, but we will cover this in later chapters. So in order to create things, we must know what are some types available, right? And we'll see. So in Java, there are three primitive, in AP exam, we'll cover about three primitive data types. The first one is Boolean, and Boolean only has two states, true or false. The other one is integer. For example, 3, 5, 1. Take whatever you want as long as it is an integer, and we use int, the abbreviation of integer, as the sign. And the third one is double. Double here means everything that has a dot in the middle. For example, 3.5, 6.2, negative 5.3, etc. And the last one, it is actually an extra one, which is string. String in this case means that we are putting together different characters. And when I say character, I mean words, numbers, even a space. So for example, Flower Academy could be a string, and it is composed of a space here, you could see there, and some letters around the space. Now, we know that these are the four data types, and you need to special note that string is definitely not a primitive type, but it functions as one. The creation process and and how to use this type are extremely similar to other data types. So these are only the four that the exam requires, but you need to, if you want to know more about Java, you could actually explore on your own. Now, let's go back to our discussion, how to create a variable. So the other process is called initiation. After we declared something, we need to initiate it by giving it a value. So this will appear in the form of a name plus an equal sign plus something, and this something will be like it will correspond to different data types. Now, why don't we just do some real typings to make you know? And this one, we're using Eclipse here. So as a beginner, you should know that this is the package and this is the class. So actually this suits the structure I've talked in the last video. And in this program, you need to actually recite two statement codes at first. Actually, these two statement codes are so common that although you may not know why they appear, but they will be extremely useful when you want to see when you want to run your codes. The first one is public static void main string args. And this one, we call it a main method. And in the main method, we will actually type our codings. For example, this is the other one you need to recite. System.out.println. This sentence simply means to print something out, and what you are putting here will appear in your console here. Like you put 3 here, here, and when you click the run, you see that the console will appear as the form of 3. So now we are going back to create a variable. For instance, we could create a string, we could create an int first. Int, this is the type, and we could give a name, say x, and this is the declaration process. And the other process is to give it a value, the initiation process, x equals to 3. And you can see that although we are putting an equal here, but what we are really doing is to give a value. We put 3 in the box named x in the type of int. And note that because x is an integer, so we could not put a thing that has a value of double here. For instance, if we write 3.5, then it will have the wrong notation. Now, sometime we could put them together to make it more convenient. Int x equals to 3. But because we've already have an x here, and since they are in the same pairs of braces, so they are under one scope. So in one scope, you cannot have things that have identical names. Thus, it's better to change it to y. Now, we could create other things like double z equals to 4.5. Now we are creating a z, we are creating a box in the name of z in the type of double, and there is one value in the box, which is 4.5. And we could also create boolean b equals true, and string say I equals Flower Academy. And as you can see, every sentence ends with a semicolon. And the reason why these variables are in yellow is because the program thinks what you are doing is redundant, because you are not using these variables. So if we want to use one of them, say we want to print one of them out to see whether we've already created them. So we could print x here, and we could see 3. We could print I here, and we could see Flower Academy. So these are the basic primitive data types, and of course except string. And there's one thing more you need to know about naming. Naming also has some special requirements. For example, you cannot put a number in the front of your name, and you cannot put a space character in the middle of your name. So it's better for you if you want to have 2 words. You could do this: boolean 2 words. You could capital every word, but you need to link them together because space is not required in a name. And these are the primitive data types you need to know, and we've shown you how to create a variable. So if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe our channel, and we'll see you next time.